Mrs. Reed back to share another chapter of Treasure Island with you. Treasure Island, written by Robert Louis Stevenson. Again, a reminder, it's a short version. It's not the original one. It's been adapted. Today we're reading chapter 4. And when we left off in chapter 3, you might remember they were getting pretty excited about going on a treasure hunt. So, as usual, find your comfy space, sit back, and be ready to be a listener. Chapter 4, I go to Bristol. Remember, that's where they were getting the boat. Finding a ship took longer than the squire thought it would. While he was in Bristol, I spent long hours studying the treasure map. I wondered what we would find when we got to the island. Strange animals? Wild savages? In all my dreams, I never imagined anything as strange and as terrible as what lay in store for us. The author's creating a lot of suspense. I'm feeling very, very curious. Finally, the squire's letter had arrived, and it was addressed to the doctor. It read, Dear Dr. Livesey, the ship is bought. She lies at anchor, ready for sea. She is a sweet ship. A child could sail her. Her name is the Hispaniola. The squire had other news too. He had hired a captain named Smollett. He had hired a cook for the voyage, and the cook's name was Long John Silver. Long John had only one leg, but that was proof that he was a hero. After all, he had been in the Navy, and he had lost a leg fighting for his country. I'm taking a minute to pause and recall that when we heard about a one-legged man before in this story, Long John owned a tavern called the Spyglass Inn. There's another interesting reference. Something else we've heard before, spyglass. But now he wanted to go to sea again. The squire wrote that Long John had been a big help to him. He knew all the sailors in town. He had helped the squire pick the ones they were taking along on their adventure. And 2 days later, I went down to Bristol. The squire's servant, Tom Redruth, went with me. He was coming along on the voyage too, and so were two of the other squire's men, Mr. Hunter and Mr. Joyce. We have a Mr. Joyce at our school. The squire met us when we arrived. He was wearing a blue sea officer's uniform. He had even started walking like a sailor. He was having a wonderful time. Clearly, he was very happy to see us. When do we sail? I cried. Sail, he said. We sail tomorrow. After I had something to eat, the squire gave me a note to deliver. It was addressed to John Silver at the Spyglass Inn. I think we're about to meet Long John Silver. Are you ready? Ever since I read the squire's letter, I had been worried about this John Silver. Was he the one-legged sailor in my nightmares? When I saw Long John, I felt ashamed of myself for being afraid. True, Long John Silver only had one leg. But he looked nothing like the monster of my imagination. Long John had a plain, honest face. He was a hard worker too, and he used his crutch to hop around the tavern as lively as a bird. And how that man could talk. Hawkins, my lad, he said to me, you are smart as paint. I can see that right away. You and I should get along well. And that day, he told me how many stories about his sea life. Soon, I had told him my story too. All about, Blind Pew and what had happened at the Admiral Benbow Inn. Long John acted shocked. Oh! Long John treated me like a grown-up, and he made me feel important. Even that since my father died, I had been lonely. Ever since my father died, I had been lonely. I wanted so much to believe that Long John was really my friend. Dr. Livesey arrived in Bristol later in the afternoon, and that night we all slept on the Hispaniola. I love saying that. In the morning, just after sunrise, all the sailors took their places on deck. The anchor came up, and the ship's sails caught the wind, and soon we were racing out to the harbor. Long John Silver was up on the deck, too. "So ho, mates!" he cried. "We're off!" "Let's have a song," one of the men called out. Long John started singing. 15 men on a dead man's chest. And in one voice, all of the men answered back, "Yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum." That was Billy Bones' song. It seemed strange that Long John and the crew all knew it too. Well, I thought maybe all the sailors sing that song. Anyway, it was too late to worry about that now. We were already on our way to Treasure Island. And that, my friends, is the end of Chapter 4. If you're excited to check out Chapter 5, go to the next link, and I'll see you next time.